Middle Podcast, the podcast dedicated to the music, movies, and culture of Generation X.
What is up, Slackers? And welcome to another episode of the Stuck in the Middle podcast. I am your host, Jason Eck. And it is a busy time. So much going on, both in my personal and professional life. I'm not going to dwell too much on it. I will just say that past couple days have just been those days where I think the word is harried. And harried basically means you kind of feel like you're put upon by everyone. And of course, a lot of this is perception. A lot of it is just the nature of what I do, where I support a lot of different people in my role with my job. And I take that seriously because I am in that kind of role where a lot of expected of me, a lot of it's needed from me, and I legitimately basically touch just about every facet. I shouldn't say that. I guess about 75% organizationally, I have some measure of interactivity with or even a direct impact on, just by virtue of what I do. And that means a lot of different constituencies, a lot of people that need something, want something, and sometimes those things all happen at once when you're also experiencing something in your personal life, for example. As the old saying goes, there is no right time for anything. And I think there is definitely a particular kind of karmic mindset that when it rains, it pours. Again, just using cliches and colloquialisms to kind of describe the situation. But certainly when it rains, it pours. And I think that we sometimes draw it upon us in a certain kind of way. I've talked about, my faith and all of that. And it's one of those things, I think I mentioned on an earlier podcast, that one of the most profound things I'd ever heard was be careful how you pray. So you've heard the term, be careful what you wish for, right? And every tale that involves genies, there's always this kind of twist to it, right? It's never just a direct wish granted. There's always some kind of cost. And to some extent, this extends to prayer. And I remember my mother-in-law, and again, I've probably said this before, but if you pray for patience, you will be given things to test your patience. So don't pray for patience in situations where you feel as though you might need more patience, because you'll just be given more things to try to be patient about. And I've been trying to be mindful of that when I start getting into these mindsets of, holy cow, am I bringing this on myself? And I think a lot of times we do bring things upon ourselves, and this happens because then it's even about the most simplistic of things, and it just magnifies. So then also having a teenage daughter, my daughter is getting prepared for her junior prom, which is just a few days away. And when she bought her dress, it was before track season. So any of you who know what that means the dress does not fit the same way post or during track season. So now we have a catastrophe with very little time to try and fix it. And I just come home from this killer day, just feeling like I've been punched in the face, hit in the head with a mallet, just a lot of crazy things. And then I walk into this firestorm, and, I'm downstairs and I hear this coming from upstairs, and the dress doesn't fit, blah, blah, blah. I get invited in, and my daughter is actually in my older son's room. Now he's off at college, but he has these full-length mirrors on his closet doors. So, of course, this is the place where one will go to check out their entire outfit. And there's no tears. There's just this frustration. And now, mind you, I don't think the dress looks bad at all. But, you know, I'm a fucking idiot for thinking the dress looks fine. It looks beautiful. You don't get it. It's all wrong. It's all wrong. It's all wrong. I'm just like, okay, well, I'm going to go now because it wasn't worth engaging kind of thing. So it's like silly things like that just get amplified when you're already stressed, you're already tired. So my wife and I are sitting there and I pulled up something on X and it's just one of those things. They say that toddlers and teenagers are like the same thing. And in a lot of ways they are. But someone had posted, I'm dealing with my toddler having a complete meltdown at the children's zoo, either the children's zoo or the children's museum. The reason for said tantrum is because other kids were there. Bro, it's a museum, it's a zoo, whatever it was. There's going to be other kids there, but this kid was like, I'm going to have this place to myself, and how dare there be other children there? It's completely irrational as a toddler would be, this completely unrealistic expectation. Same could be said about teenagers. Of course, as I'm saying it out loud and I'm really reflecting on it, and I notice about myself the number of times where things maybe don't go exactly the way that I plan, because I like to plan, which is why I will get frustrated if I'm not like prepared for the podcast and just going to spitball. Like I like to be prepared for things, and I'm going to do certain things on certain nights of the week. I kind of schedule it all out in my head. Now I need to share that with my loved ones because I could have the best laid plans in my head that hasn't been communicated to anyone. So it's just been a crazy week. And then the allergies are really kicking in and my eyes have been killing me all day, which is difficult when you're staring at a computer monitor and completely buried in numbers and spreadsheets and raging, crazy clients. I'm calling them clients because I'm being nice. Anyway, I will say I have continued to hit the workout, the fitness piece, been doing it faithfully, in pretty good shape with that right now. I'm stuck right now at the first kind of benchmark. So officially 10 pounds down. I was fluctuating at different points, but 10 is solid. I'm there. And I just need to keep moving it along because I only have, 20 more pounds to lose. The next 10 is sometimes even more challenging. 20 pounds is hard. 30 is really hard because your metabolism starts to work differently and you're more resilient to the levels of fitness. And it takes more to burn more. So that's where I'm at right now. Anyway. So then I was kind of, what's the word? Just tooling around old YouTube. Just tooling around, just checking some stuff out. And you get suggestions. Now, I will admit, of course, like all of us, chances are our viewing patterns tell things about us and kind of the content that we watch or interested in. Now, I'm kind of varied. I watch a lot of content creators across all different age groups. I wouldn't say that my overall viewership is all just Gen X stuff. In fact, it's not. There are a number of younger creators that do things that make me laugh, whether I enjoy their camaraderie, their jokes, just silly things. Like I love to watch Beard Meets Food. I mean, this is a millennial who is a, championship eater. He's a Brit and he's hilarious. And for whatever reason, I enjoy competitive eating. So this is him traveling the globe, going to different places and taking on their food challenges. A lot of fun. Check it out. Really think it's great. But what popped up was some concert clips from a band that I will admit I've never really been into. And I think they've become somewhat of an easy punchline and kind of a band from the mid to late 90s, probably more late 90s, early 2000s. Definitely all Gen Xers and definitely rooted in this kind of alternative metal / grungy kind of thing. But they're kind of the band that everyone loves to hate. But I have come to the conclusion as I've grown older that bands that I didn't necessarily consider myself fans of in and of their initial peak, their first run through, just by, I guess, virtue of when they came about, the comfort of when I did listen to radio or if I did hear these artists, I think probably most of the stuff that I was listening to radio-wise in the late 90s, early 2000s was when I was working overnight. And that was something to pass the time. So I listened to, like in Boston, we had WBCN, which was the rock channel. I guess it was kind of like the alternate rock channel. And, you could do requests overnight and they'd play cool stuff if you requested things that weren't necessarily on their format sheet. But the band that I'm talking about is Creed. Now, Creed is not the topic for tonight. And if you've seen the show notes, but they were kind of what got me thinking about this topic. Now, very quickly, I once went to a work function for my wife. She was working at one of the large national banks. Actually, they weren't national at the time. She was there during 2 buyouts, I believe. We went out with her colleagues, and we went to this, I think it was a Mexican place, and we're all shooting the shit. And I have met in the wild a vociferous and aggressive Creed fan. Like, Creed was her band. I definitely took some shots at Creed. Well, a little cheesy, a little corny, blah, blah, blah. Not really my cup of tea, whatever. This young lady was so annoyed. So at one point, I think either she got up to go to the bathroom or they were leaving for the night. And it's polite to do, like when people are leaving, you all stand up and you say your goodbyes. So she waited until I was about to sit back down in my seat. And she yanked my seat out. So I went ass to floor because of Creed. To this day, it blows my mind that ever even happened. And my wife remembers it happening. She's like, I don't know who that girl was. I think it was like so-and-so's girlfriend or whatever. I'm like, yeah, well, she was a crazed Creed fan. So she must be over the moon that they're all back together and touring. And what they're calling it is the Summer of 99 tour. I will say this about Creed. Not really my cup of tea. Scott Stapp, a baritone voice, very much in the, that first Stone Temple Pilots record, that Eddie Vedder, like that whole kind of thing, except without the range and the dynamics. I'm not a huge Vedder fan, but there's definitely some dynamic range to his voice, use of falsetto, etc. Interesting phrasing. And Weiland turned out to have an incredible range that no one had really expected off that first album. What is it? Core? Is Core the first album? I think that's what it was called. So anyway, Mark Tremonti, though, who I think has had not as much commercial success, but certainly critical success with Alter Bridge, with Miles Kennedy, who I think is best known for a lot of his work with Slash, as well as Alter Bridge, is a hell of a guitarist and one of the thickest, chunkiest guitar tones. He is a PRS player, so very technical guitar player, but yeah, some great chugging, heavy drop tuning stuff. And I think that gives them more credibility that I think they're sometimes granted, including by someone like me. I'm not saying I'm going to go buy a whole bunch of Stone Temple Pilots, Creed records. I don't think they're going to be on my list of top 10 bands of the era, but they are better than they're often given credit for. So I'm putting that out there. Happy to see them all happy and healthy. For those of you who don't know, Scott Stapp did legitimately attempt to commit suicide, jumping off a balcony, went like 40 feet or something, broke his hip, leg, nose, fractured his skull, but didn't die, just injured badly on this ledge of this roof, and he's whimpering and moaning in pain, ends up being saved by the rapper T.I., who had gotten the last room in the hotel or whatever on a whim. It was like Vegas or something, and ended up saving Scott Stapp's life. So anyway, they're on tour. So I don't get to see concerts very often. Some of it is just cost. Some of it is time. Like, I can't go out on like a Tuesday night to go to a concert. I can't do it. And it'd be great if all the concerts were only held on weekends, but that's not how tour schedules work. But I did some searching, and get this. This is straight off of a New York Post article. 58 biggest 90s concerts in 2024. So it's also not lost on me that 20 years ago was 2003. Think of it like us in the 90s. 20 years ago would have been the 70s. And I think about friends of mine going to see, bands from the 70s on their reunion tours. And or in the 80s, it was like such a big thing for some of the 60s bands, which is why a band like the Stones continued to tour and tour and tour. But we are now the nostalgia age. 80s really came into the forefront, I want to say, probably about 5 years ago, or really exploded. But now there's this re-examination of music from our time period. Part of it is our kids who are now listening to our music, but also even younger kids who are listening to these bands, particularly the ones who are still creating new music, putting out records. Even if the record doesn't necessarily sell the way that it used to, it does generate interest in going to see these bands live. So now a lot of these bands we'll talk about in interviews, they're seeing multi-generations out in the crowd. So as it says here, the 90s. Gen X's heyday was a simpler time, before we were chronically online or chasing clout. Beanie Babies and the Macarena reigned supreme. Now, Beanie Babies was not really for us per se, okay? My sister is a millennial. She is 16 years younger than me. She wanted Beanie Babies because she was a child. Now, if they're talking about the people who are collecting them and then flipping them on eBay, guilty as charged, sure. But those are kind of a weird mix of things to put together. But, as it says right here, life was good and the music was great. So major rock bands like Green Day, Foo Fighters, Blink-182, Third Eye Blind, and Red Hot Chili Peppers exploded onto the scene. Meanwhile, hip-hop icons, well, as we know them now as icons, Wu-Tang Clan, Busta Rhymes, and Ice Cube blew up. Ice Cube was coming off of obviously being an NWA and going off and becoming a major solo star. Singer-songwriters, okay, let's settle down with singer-songwriters like Madonna. Give me a break. Alanis, Morissette, Sarah McLachlan? Absolutely. So, if you came of age during the Slacker era or think pre-Y2K music is da bomb, how dare you, sir? We're here to help you relive the glorious decade all over again with our list of the 58 biggest concert tours featuring 90s artists separated by music genre below. So, let's just start off right off the bat. Green Day has what they call the Saviors Tour, featuring Smashing Pumpkins, Rancid, and the Linda Lindas, running June 29th through September 28th. If I could escape Green Day's Billy Joe going off about whatever political things come to his mind, I just don't enjoy any political talk at a concert whatsoever, regardless of what it is. That's not what I'm there for. But Green Day, Smashing Pumpkins, and Rancid, by themselves, I'm in. And the Linda Lindas on select dates. So again, this runs June 29th through September 28th. This one's actually already done. This is U2 doing their whole, what's it called? The Sphere in Las Vegas. Foo Fighters, Everything or Nothing at All tour. Now listen to this. Featuring The Pretenders, The Hives, Mammoth WVH, which is Wolfgang Van Halen's band, Amyl and the Sniffers, Alex G, and L7 on select dates. That runs May 1st through August 18th. I have never seen the Foo Fighters in concert. I don't know if I'm going to correct that this year. I feel like I should, and I'm just really bummed that I never got to see them with Taylor Hawkins. Just another example of why certain things in life, you just kind of have to do it. Because then you end up having regrets. Like I had an opportunity to see the Ramones on their final tour. They did a show in Boston. I didn't go. I don't know why I didn't go. Stupid. I guess I thought, I don't know. Maybe it wasn't announced as our final tour, but anyway, I never got to see the Ramones. It's a bummer. Now, this is an interesting bill. Red Hot Chili Peppers with the Unlimited Love Tour. Now, that's already been running since February 17th. It runs through July 30th. But listen to this. Featuring Kid Cudi, Ice Cube, Ken Carson, Odubak Beaver, hope I'm saying that right, Sean Kuti, Egypt 80, Wand, and Iron Tom on select dates. But again, February 17th through July 30th. That's a crazy lineup. But just like the Peppers and Ice Cube together, I'm fairly certain those are both early Lollapalooza acts. So I think the first year was Ice-T, the second year was Ice Cube. I just don't know if I could go. I'm sure I would go and have a great time. I've definitely fallen a little bit out of love with the Peppers over the past probably 20 years, to be perfectly honest with you. The last time I think I really got into them was, for me personally, probably that last, the record they did with Dave Navarro, formerly of Jane's Addiction. I was working at Urban Outfitters at the time when that record came out. And, I guess there was the one, Californication. I guess that record was okay. But I think John Frusciante was back for that. Yeah, but they're probably such a joy to see in concert. I would probably go. A band that I never really got into, but I remember having a conversation with a buddy of mine that said of this kind of second wave of, alternative rock superstars, you had your Matchbox 20. There was, who was the other one? There was like three bands, but it was Matchbox 20. Maybe it was Three Doors Down and Third Eye Blind. I said, who's going to be around in 20 years? And he's like, Matchbox 20. So legitimately, Matchbox 20 has remained kind of a regular touring group, very prominent. But here we're looking at Third Eye Blind's Summer Gods Tour, featuring Yellow Card and Arizona. Yellow Card is one of my guiltiest pleasures. I'm going to be perfectly honest. When I say guiltiest pleasures, I just mean really, there's one song in particular. You know the one, because it's a perfect frickin' song. But Third Eye Blind has a number of songs that back then I would have kind of rolled my eyes, maybe skipped the channel in the car. But now, if it comes on, I'm like, oh yeah. The lead singer, I have no idea his name, that just kind of whiny voice. I don't know. Now I look back on it with a certain amount of fondness, where at the time I was like, meh. Did not know about this tour till I read about it, because I thought they were no longer together as a band because their lead singer went on to become super famous in the country world. Talking about Darius Rucker and Hootie and the Blowfish, Summer Camps with Trucks Tour, featuring Collective Soul and Edwin McCain. Now, for me, the only real song I know from Collective Soul is Shine. But like I mentioned before about Mark Tremonti and Creed, that guitar in Shine, that is just thick, juicy goodness. What a great sounding song. It's so good. But that's really all I know about him. Hootie and the Blowfish, tons of hits. Tons of hits. I'm terrible with song names, but Edwin McCain, I'm not really familiar with Edwin McCain. I know I should be. There's one song, it's right at the tip of my brain. And it'd probably bother me if I don't look it up. Edwin McCain. Is he related to the Mayonnaise King? I'll be, and I could not ask for more. It looks really familiar. That song is not ringing a bell to me. I guess I'll have to listen to it later. Like, he looks super familiar, but I can't place the song. Anyway, so next, as I mentioned, Creed's Summer of '99 tour. Listen to this. So it's Creed with Three Doors Down, Daughtry, Switchfoot, Tonic, Big Wreck, and Finger 11. Finger 11 has, again, one of those guilty pleasure 90s playlist songs. If I want it, oh, if I gave it, you know that one? Anyway, I bailed out on the note. Cut this, edit. No, I'm not going to edit. But you know what song I mean. All the way for one thing, wouldn't that be? Isn't that how it goes? Anyway. That song is Finger 11. Three Doors Down. My aunt's ex-husband, my ex-uncle, loved Three Doors Down. Loved them. All I can ever think of is with their Superman and some romantic one or something. Daughtry, of course, came to us from American Idol, and then, of course, Creed. With Arms Wide Open, Higher, My Sacrifice, those are the big ones. My Sacrifice always reminds me of WWF at the time, one of their promo packages. But, I mean, seems like a fun show to see. I think Weezer tours every year. This particular tour runs May 3rd through June 13th. Not sure what size venues they're doing. They can go everything from larger theaters to arenas to the outdoor amphitheaters. Bare Naked Ladies, biggest surprise of my life. Biggest surprise of my life. Saw them last summer with Gin Blossoms and Toad the Wet Sprocket. That entire show ruled. I did a podcast about it. Go check it out in the archives. Bare Naked Ladies kicked ass from the moment they got on stage all the way to the end. And I was astounded at the number of songs that I knew. Really great show. If you haven't seen them and you just want something different that you haven't seen before, check them out. Hell of a show. And I can also attest that Weezer is killer in concert as well. I saw them at a place called The Sting in New Britain on their first tour and saw them a number of, well, I guess only a couple of times. All in clubs. Never seen them in an arena. And I saw Rivers a bunch back in his Harvard days. Now here's an interesting one that I think I would enjoy seeing. Just Cake. An Evening with Cake tour. What an odd band. And I really only know the hits. Everything from their Going the Distance to their cover of I Will Survive, which is absurd but wonderful at the same time. That'd be a fun show. That runs May 10th through June 22nd. Flaming Lips, basically 1 week this week. Okay. Extreme's Thicker Than Blood tour is already over. That was featuring Living Colour. I kind of wanted to go see that. What a guitar night. Nuno Betancourt of Extreme and Vernon Reid from Living Color. Holy crow, that would be kick-ass. But I missed that tour. Yeah, Extreme came back in a big way with this last album, and that song Rise with this just shred-tastic guitar out of Nuno. But Extreme, never a band that I got into a ton. Obviously, they had big hits, particularly when I was in high school. More Than Words was huge, Wholehearted. But, you go back to, and I didn't at the time, I didn't really appreciate them that much. But, songs off that first record, Mother, Don't Want to Go to School Today, great song. But songs like Kid Ego, but then, all the pornography stuff is really, really good. Next, so here's a funny one. And I'm not sure where it came up, but it just came up recently. And it's Everclear's Summerland Tour. Now, this is already over, too. This ran January 12th through April 12th. But Everclear is out of Boston, so Art Alexis is from here. And Father of Mine came up on something, but I always think of the Breakers. Head out by the Breakers and watch the world die down. Such a simple band, a three-piece, yet got over so hugely with the local crowd as well as nationally. But this was featuring Wheatus and Sister Hazel. There is a great, I want to say maybe it was Vice who did it, because I think Vice is closed down now, but they have still a lot of the video content is up on YouTube. But they did a mini documentary on Wheatus and oh gosh, I'm drawing a blank. Teenage Dirtbag. Like about the song itself and like the basis for it, the history of it. And then I watched some clips of the song. Now, I don't remember ever really hearing that song much. And it turns out there's a reason for that. And it didn't get the same kind of airplay in the United States as it got in other parts of the world. So go check it out, but you'll find out that Wheatus is huge in the UK. Huge in the UK and like Australia, but not here in the States. But check out that little documentary. It's pretty cool. But that tour is over. This one's also over. Dinosaur Jr.'s Where You Been tour. Seen Dinosaur Jr. in concert once with Caius, and that ruled. Actually, you know what? I saw them with Caius at Toad's Place, and then I saw them on Lollapalooza. So now heading over into pop. The genre we're looking at here is pop. So Madonna's Celebration Tour, that actually wrapped up this past week, featuring Bob the Drag Queen. That runs January 11th through April 15th. Got to be honest, it is not like the, what was the name of that documentary that she had about her tour? And it was an excellent tour, and she was killing it live. I think it was on that Vogue tour, but it's not quite the same anymore. New Kids on the Block, Magic Summer Tour, featuring Paula, Abdul, and DJ Jazzy Jeff. That's really late 80s, 90s. Yeah, that's early 90s. But New Kids on the Block, Magic Summer Tour, June 14th through August 25th. I'm not saying I'm running out to see it, but if someone offered me a free ticket, I'd go. And it'd probably be an absolute blast. Joey Fatone and AJ McLean's A Legendary Night Tour. That ran March 15th to 30th. That's over. Well, let's see. Christina Aguilera, that's already run. And then Kylie Minogue, More Than Just a Residency. I'm assuming that's in Vegas, March 8th through May 4th. Now, under the heading of punk, Blink-182's One More Time Tour, featuring Pierce the Veil, running June 20th through August 15th. I've never seen Blink live. I would have to imagine it's just such a killer time. I have a fondness in my heart for Blink-182. Had I been a little bit younger, so really at the late part of Gen X into early millennials, I mean, that would be probably like my favorite band. Just guilty as charged. The Offspring, May 4th through June 1st. Have not seen The Offspring live. I'd imagine that would be excellent. And then finally, Bad Religion, featuring Social Distortion and the Love Bombs, April 9th through May 18th. I kind of have this weird kind of love-hate thing with Bad Religion. I guess I never embraced them the same way as I had some of their contemporaries. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what it is. What's his name? Greg Ginn, right? And then Brad, is it Brad? Hold on here. Let's see. Bad Religion. Wow. Greg Gaffin. My bad. And Brett Gurewitz. So I got some of it right. Brian Baker, of course, who was originally in Minor Threat, and then, of course, went into the band Junkyard. Go check that out if you don't remember. But of course, Gurewitz started Epitaph Records, which spit out so many bands. So not just Offspring, but NoFX, Rancid, Green Day, I think, had a record out on Epitaph. But yeah, I just never really got into them. One of my roommates in Boston, Michael Murphy, what's up? Yeah, I don't know. Just never did it for me. Hip hop. This tour is over. Oh man. Wu-Tang Clan's The Saga Continues tour. That would be a killer show. Ice Cube, who is not only, is this correct? Let's see. Oh, crazy. Literally. No kidding. Ice Cube is doing like all of, oh, I get it. He's starting his tour, his North American tour, back in February 20th in Canada. So it's straight into Canada tour, but then it runs all throughout the continental U.S., but he's also doing some dates with the Red Hot Chili Peppers. But this runs February 20th through August 30th. Looking at what size venues. Oh, there's also a Legends of Hip Hop, Ice Cube, E40, and Bone Thugs and Harmony in Oklahoma in August. But yeah, it looks like it's a combination of amphitheaters and like smaller size, either arenas. Yeah. So lower bowl of some arenas. So probably, I want to say anywhere from 5,000 to 7,000 seaters. Yeah, that's awesome. Buster Rhymes Blockbuster Tour, that ends this week. Actually, it ended on Sunday, March 13th through April 22nd. Cypress Hill, who I've only seen some of their set. I think I have an episode about that. You can check that out, about some of the live concert experiences I've had. But Cypress Hill runs April 20th through June 22nd. I did see them with Rage Against the Machine, 7 Year Bitch, and Funk Dubious. I believe also at the Sting in New Britain. Anyway, so get this one. Are you ready? This one has already finished. I hadn't even heard about it. Maybe some of you have actually seen it, so tell me if you have. The I Love the 90s tour. Listen to this. Featuring Vanilla Ice, All for One, Color Me Bad, Tone Loc, Rob Bass, It Takes Two, Young MC. Just bust a move, right? Yeah. Tretch of Naughty by Nature, Not 'Cause I Hate Ya. Tag Team. Isn't that one of the woo? Is that a whoop or woof? One of them let some dog out. CNC Music Factory. Dum, 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 dum. Anyway, that ran from February 16th through March 8th. Kind of a bummer. That would have been glorious. I'm not going to lie. That would have been an absolute glorious show to see. Truly. They come out, they probably do 20, 30 minutes each and just hit after hit. Crazy. So, jam bands. So, I will have to be educated here about a couple of these being jam bands. So, the most notable and obvious is Fish. Running April 18th, 21st. That was this past weekend. Is that a tour or just concerts? Anyway, okay, that's over. Sorry. 311. They're a jam band? Aren't they just like I say this loosely, ska band? They're running January 18th through June 14th. If you know the history of 311, you know they have disavowed their formative years and really where they come from. Next, we have Sublime with Rome. For any of you who don't know, Sublime is actually back. Now, I guess they had someone filling in at one point for the departed Bradley Knoll with his son, Jacob Knoll, now currently singing. They had another singer at one point. I forget who that is. But nevertheless, jam band? I don't know. I've never seen them live, but this is a pretty short tour. I know they're also doing some festivals running April 11th through 27th. I don't know who this is, so I got to look it up. This is 90s, and I feel like I should know, and I feel a little of a revolution. OAR, American rock band founded in 1996. I have no idea who that is, but it's OR, stylized as OAR. You got to let me know, folks. Let me know. Comments, send me an email, all that good stuff. They have a number of albums, and I've never heard of them in my entire life. But they are touring with Fits in the Tantrums, Ripe, and DJ Logic, July 16th through November 17th. Over on the hard rock metal front, we have Metallica's never-ending M72 tour, featuring, depending on the date, Pantera, Mammoth, WVH, Five Finger Death Punch, and I'm so pleased by this. I'm stupidly pleased by this. Ice Nine Kills on select dates. They're a band that deserves to be on this stage. There's only a handful of bands of the modern era of modern metal that I kind of enjoy. They're this interesting, guess a little bit screamo. I first heard them with their amazing cover of Someone Like You by Adele, but I've come to really appreciate their live performances in particular. A little bit of a shout out for being local here to Massachusetts. But yeah, I love the fact that Ice Nine Kills are on the Metallica tour. That's excellent. And obviously Pantera. Some people say, well, it's not really Pantera if you don't have Diamond Vinny. I mean, when you can bring in Zakk Wylde and Charlie Benante, that's fantastic, along with Rex and Phil. I would love to see that. If I can get tickets this summer, I think I may go see that. Another band that I never really got into, I saw them once, and that was in Lollapalooza, and I lied down and I took a nap. And all of you who are metal fans are going to go, boo. I never got into Tool. Never got into them. Maybe I'm just not smart enough, because, you know, you have to be really super deep and intelligent to enjoy Tool. And I'm just, you know, I'd be happy to go see, you know, Vanilla Ice. But Tool's Fear Inoculum Tour, featuring Elder, runs January 12th through June 3rd. If you like them, check it out. Pantera's For Legacy Tour, featuring Lamb of God, runs February 3rd through August 30th. So they're doing their own tour. Sometimes they'll do a show in the same city as the Metallica tour, but just to go see the Metallica stage, because they play in the round, which is also another, I guess, challenge for bands, particularly if they're new to large venues, particularly stadiums, to play in the round. The confidence that takes, but also the confidence that builds. But what a great concert. Pantera. Would love to see it. This one blows my mind. I don't understand the lineup, but I mentioned that my daughter's been listening to some new metal lately. Limp Bizkit's Loserville tour, featuring Riff Raff. Get this. Corey Feldman. That's right. That Corey Feldman. Nate No Face and Bones. Runs May 9th through August 24th. I mean, I'd go see Limp Bizkit. But I'm getting nowhere near that Pick Come Break stuff. Another guitarist that is, it's one of those things. How do you say underrated when, metal guitarists will be like, yeah, he's really, really good. But Wes Borland, just the tones. Really, really chugging. And you use an example of like break stuff. And it's like a chainsaw. It'll skin your ass raw. Next, we have the most confusing band, if you are at all into Boston rock scene, right? So, buddy of mine, we said this all the time, Godsmack just came out of nowhere, seemingly. I think they ended up winning like a battle of bands out of like nowhere. But I think they're from... Are they from Western Mass? I feel like they are. All of a sudden, they were like the metal band. Now they're from Lawrence. I mean, my kids go to school in Lawrence. I just don't remember them ever playing like any of the clubs. Like where were they playing? Now, mind you, a lot of the stuff at the time that I was listening to was a little bit more into the artsy, more than the fartsy, if you will. But yeah, they just blew up and just became like this huge band. But the Vibes Tour featuring Bastian da Cruz runs February 15th through May 5th. Next, we have a Sasanta Tour featuring Primus, A Perfect Circle, and Pussifier. Runs April 2nd through May 4th. So, of course, anyone who knows, how does that line up with the Tool Tour? Because I'm assuming that Maynard just jumps off the one and then goes and plays with A Perfect Circle and then just goes back and forth. I mean, if you can, why not? But Primus, saw them at Lollapalooza. Whoo, boy. Let me tell you. Those guys can go. Skid Row featuring Buckcherry. Now, this is interesting because the tour is almost over, but they put out this great record this past year called The Gang's All Here with Eric Gromwald as the lead singer. So all the rest of the band, well, with the exception of the drummer, it's not Rob Fuso from the classic Skid Row lineup. But Eric could sing all the Sebastian stuff, and then was a credible singer on the record. The Gang's All Here is a great song. Their primary, songwriters have always been Dave Sabo and Rachel Bolan. However, for those of you who haven't listened to Skid Row in a minute, I've really come to appreciate Scotty Hill's lead playing and his solo work. It's excellent. However, Eric had been through multiple bouts of cancer, and they were really doing a lot of heavy touring. And, he's a young guy, late 20s, early 30s, I guess. And he was just constantly getting sick. Now, this is not an easy catalog to sing. A lot can be said of Sebastian Bach, the middle-aged man. But you cannot deny the fact that those early Skid Row records, the dude could go in the studio. Couldn't always go on stage, like live, but tough catalog to sing. Eric exited before the end of the tour. So yeah, March 23rd. So this one's over. So I guess the last, I want to say 2 weeks of the tour, Lizzie Hale ended up being the lead singer for Skid Row. I'm actually hoping maybe she'll continue with them for a while. And And of course, Sebastian's like, hey guys, I got a solo record. I'm touring. Let me back in the band. Let me back in the band. Mind you, if Skid Row did a reunion tour, if they could tolerate Sebastian and not, kill him by the end of the tour, they would do massive numbers. Let's be honest. So anyway, that tour is over. Country, Garth Brooks, +1 Las Vegas residency, April 18th through December 22nd. It's a hell of a run. And then Shania Twain, also with a Las Vegas residency, running May 10th through December 14th. So if you're in Las Vegas anytime soon, go check out Garth or Shania. We have Kid Rock and Jason Aldean's Rock the Country tour, absolutely loaded with Leonard Skinner, Miranda Lambert, Hank Williams Jr., Co Wetzel, Brantley Gilbert, and many more on select dates. That's just a party. But again, as long as it's just a party, I don't need anyone's politics. Don't need it. Just want to go see some rock and roll. You know what I mean? I just don't need it, regardless of what the politics are. Just don't need it. I don't care where you stand about any particular topic. I don't want my music, my politics to overlap unless I'm going to see an overtly political band that is entirely based upon politics. Like, Rage Against the Machine. Like, that is who they are, right? You know what you're getting in for. You're going to hear something. So you prepared for it. If you want to go see a rock and roll show, I don't really care. If anyone has seen some of the clips of John Mellencamp getting into it with crowd members, and it's just not worth it. Now, mind you, every single artist is an American citizen or not an American citizen. You're just here. You're in the country. Constitutional right. Speak your mind. If that's what you want to do, that's great. Don't be annoyed if there's some kind of reaction, positive or negatively. Lyle Lovett, that tour is over, ran January 19th through March 21st. Lyle Lovett, married to Julia Roberts. Do you remember that? The oddest thing ever seen. R&B. Oh, this one ends this week. Janet Jackson, March 8th through April 27th. Kind of cool that she is back on the tour. Beats. Boys to Men, January 13th through June 21st. What venues are they doing? It doesn't look like there's anyone in support. Let's see. Oh, they're doing the casino. The casino circuit. Almost all casinos. Pavilions. Yeah, some, amphitheater, stuff like that. So kind of the smaller to mid-size amphitheater. So probably max like 3,000-4,000 people. Pretty good, man. Pretty good. Let's see. New edition, Las Vegas residency, February 28th through July 27th. I had no idea. Let's see. Where are they doing that? The Encore Theater at the Wynn. Nice. What lineup is it, though? Oh, Bobby Brown is there. Cool. Oh, man, I'd go see that. Robbie, Bobby, Ricky, and Mike. All right. Singer-songwriters. I don't know why they said singer-songwriters, because really it just seems like these are female-led rock tours. And some folk, some kind of somewhere in the middle. It's just very interesting they use this phraseology of singer-songwriters. Maybe they didn't want to just be like, these are female artist tours. Doesn't matter. Anyway. Alanis Morissette's The Triple Moon Tour. Get this, featuring Joan Jett and the Blackhearts and Morgan Wade. I would go see that in an absolute heartbeat. So I'll have to check out where they're playing. June 9th through August 10th. Sarah McLachlan, her voice is just crazy good. So is Alanis's. Fumbling Towards Ecstasy Tour, featuring Feist and Allison Russell, May 25th through July 6th. Melissa Etheridge, I'm Not Broken Tour, featuring Indigo Girls on select dates. And then it says here, Indigo Girls, featuring Melissa Etheridge and Amos Lee on select dates. So it must be one of those co-headlining tours where they're kind of swapping back and forth between who is the headliner. Amy Grant, my wife saw the early part of that tour, or was that the end of last year? Gosh, it all blends together now. Amy Mann, wait, that's over. Does she play locally since she's from here? She opened up for someone recently. Oh, it doesn't have the archives. Curious where that tour went. Sleater Kinney, that just ended. Little Rope Tour. And then Suzanne Vega runs April 9th through 25th. That tour is about to close in 2 days. Latin, we have, whoa, this is over too. Where did this tour go? Enrique Iglesias, Ricky Martin, and Pitbull's Trilogy Tour. Holy shit. That's a powerful freaking tour. Yeah, almost all these are over already. Mark Anthony's Historia Tour ended March 9th. Luis Miguel's tour, January 20th through October 12th. I'm less familiar with him. The 90s Pop Tour. I'm going to mangle this, so forgive my pronunciation. Magneto, JNS, Sentidos Apuestos, Caba, Calo, Moenia, Linda, GB5, formerly known as Garibaldi, and MDO. Runs February 2nd through March. What are these weird short tours? Anyway, and then finally, classical. This already ended. Andrea Bocelli. Cool. But this just says, in general, the 50 biggest concert tours, regardless of being nostalgia-driven, is, of course, your Rolling Stones are out this year. Taylor Swift, Bruce Springsteen, Zach Bryan, Adele, Olivia Rodrigo, Drake with J. Cole, Wu-Tang Clan's first ever Las Vegas residency. I mean, it's just a ton of possibilities. Pink. Oh, I would consider Pink part of the 90s. Right? I mean, that's technically when she came out, late 90s, early 2000s. Pink's Summer Carnival Tour with Sheryl Crow, The Script, and Kid Cut Up, August 10th through November 23rd. Let's see. We have... Anything else good? Classic rock. Billy Joel is finishing up his Madison Square Garden. My son has now seen him twice. Eagles Long Goodbye Tour. If you like the Eagles, I do not. Featuring Steely Dan. Journey and Def Leppard Summer Stadium Tour featuring the Steve Miller Band, Heart, and Cheap Trick. Running February 9th through September 8th. Earth, Wind, and Fire and Chicago Heart and Soul Tour. Now, I'm not a fan of Chicago, but I love me some Earth, Wind, and Fire. Rod Stewart had no idea that he was touring again. February 8th through August 10th. I love this next one. Foreigner and Styx, Renegades and Jukebox Heroes Tour, featuring John Waite. But most importantly, Foreigner is finally getting their induction into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Long overdue. Long overdue. And some people will say this version of Foreigner and even this version of Styx are really just glorified cover bands, etc., etc. I get why they say it about Foreigner, since there's really no original members left, but Styx has a number of either founding members or long-term members in the band. That seemed like it'd be a great show. Shout out to Kelly Hansen, lead singer of Foreigner. Leonard Skinner and ZZ Top's Sharp Dress Simple Man Tour. I see what you did there. Featuring Blackstone Cherry and the Outlaws. Let's see. Bryan Adams, So Happy It Hurts Tour, featuring Dave Stewart from the Eurythmics. Okay, I'm going to tell you right now, this next one I would go see. Fall Out Boy and Jimmy Eat Worlds. The So Much for 2-hour dust tour, 4-hour dust tour. Anyway, whatever that means. I'm sure it's some clever thing that I'm completely missing, but that's with the main Hot Mulligan, Daisy Grenade, Games We Play, and Car. I'd be going for Fall Out Boy and Jimmy Eat World. Let's see. Iron Maiden's Future Past Tour, That is actually in the fall, October 4th through November 17th. Judas Priest's Invisible Shield Tour runs April 18th through May 22nd. Sammy Hagar's The Best of All Worlds Tour, featuring Joe Satriani and Loverboy. I kind of want to go see that. Country, anything else there? Morgan Wallen, if he can stay out of jail, featuring Jelly Roll, Lainey Wilson, Bailey Zimmer. I mean, it's just a ton of artists. Kenny Chesney's Sun Goes Down Tour, featuring the Zac Brown Band, Megan Maroney, and Uncle Kracker. Doesn't Uncle Kracker have a killer cover of Boys in the Hood? Chris Stapleton's All-American Roadshow Tour, featuring Willie Nelson and Family, Sheryl Crow, Lainey Wilson, Ellie King, and Turnpike Troubadours. That's a killer show. Anything else cool? Everybody's got a residency. Adele's got a residency. Maroon 5's got a residency. Everybody's got a residency in old Las Vegas. But anyway, tons of killer shows this summer. That is just a few of them. And tell me, what are you going to go see? I would love to hear if you're going to make it to any of these shows or if you've seen any of these shows already. And I'd really love to know about the Las Vegas vibe. I've never been. It seems like once in a while you get these awesome, priced packages to go, flight and accommodation, and go to see some cool stuff. But I've never been. Would love to get your feedback. So how can you let me know? You can email me at stuckinthemiddlepod@yahoo.com. You can find me on Instagram, X, and YouTube at StuckPodX. Head on over to the Facebook page, Stuck in the Middle, a Gen X podcast. Please leave, like, comment, share, leave 5-star reviews, and most importantly, please subscribe to the podcast. So until next time, later, slackers.